Sir? Yeah.
Yeah, I am from computer science, so probably you will be you are wondering why those two terms he has mentioned, molecular biology and astrophysical data analysis. Basically, I am from computer science, so I know computing, and in recent years, molecular biology or bio related things, they need huge amount of computing, as well as in case of astrophysics also, they generally can get huge amount of astrophysical data that they need to compute. So I have certain collaborations with some professors of different institutes. So in that case, I contribute the computing part and they contribute their respective astrophysics or molecular biology part. In due course, I have learned something of molecular biology and astrophysics. That's a different issue. But in most of the cases, I really do not know what is astrophysics actually and what is molecular biology. So I generally concentrate on computing. My main interest is not, that has not been mentioned here, is basically cryptography. That is my own area of research where I used to contribute often. And as Professor Shankarji has mentioned, that my PhD dissertation and a long time I devoted my time on pattern recognition and classifications. So this bio-inspired computing part is also there. So today I'll be talking about bio-inspired computing. I have heard most of you are from either statistics or economics or agriculture. Probably you do not have that much exposure on programming and different aspects of programming. So what I will do, I will try to give you a brief idea of what is bio-inspired computing and why it is needed and how we can utilize such type of things. In today's context, this is a workshop on R. So you will learn several tools, maybe statistical tools, maybe some other tools. So you can also learn such type of bio-inspired computational tools, and you can use them also. There is no need of highly sophisticated computer knowledge. You can use them. So basic thing is you have to identify the problems where you can fit such type of bio-inspired computations and how to frame the problem and how to structure the problem. So we'll start in that way. So let us first try to present my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will start from the very beginning. The question is, why do we need this bio-inspired computing? It is because in our real life or in our nature, the total number of problems is essentially huge. And computers can solve only a portion of that problem. Means, and this is not from our observations. We can prove it mathematically that the total number of problems and the total number of programs that we can write to address the problems, they have a clear mismatch. And we cannot really solve all of the problems of any algebraic structure or any mathematical model using a computer. That is called the algorithmic limits of computations. Theoretically, it has already been proved. Now, forget about those problems that we cannot really solve. For example, can we design a mathematical model which will generate all of the prime numbers one after another? The answer is no. We cannot do that. That's an unsolvable problem. But even if you think about all of the problems which are solvable, we can divide them into two different categories. One is hard problem, another is easy problem. I am not talking about unsolvable problems. Forget about all those things. In our bio-inspired computing, we will never be talking about unsolvable problems. But in solvable state, there are two types of problems. One is hard problem, another is easy problem. What is the meaning of hard problem and easy problem from computation's point of view? From computation's point of view, easy problem means we have a very efficient algorithm. We have a very efficient program that can solve the problem easily. Efficient means it will take very less amount of time. It will take a very small amount of memory, small amount of computer resources. So that's called an efficient algorithm. And there are problems which are solvable using a computer, but that will take huge amount of time, huge amount of memory, huge amount of other resources to solve the problem. Here comes the division. From computation's point of view, we say something as hard and something as easy problem. So in our computer science, we generally give them two different names. One is generally called exponential time or NP hard problem. Another is called polynomial time problem. Polynomial time problem means suppose you have n different instances in statistics. Say for example, you have n different data points. If the time that the algorithm will take is proportional to n square or n cube or n to the power 4, then it is called polynomial time. If the time that the algorithm will take is proportional to 2 to the power 8 or e to the power n, something like this, then it is called exponential time. We can solve, but we have to provide this much amount of time. Right? So solvable problems, there are hard or exponential time problems. So in case of polynomial time, we have already good algorithms. We will not touch them in our bio-inspired computing because that is already we have efficient algorithms. In case of exponential time algorithms, we need certain type of improvisations. Okay, so that is what I have mentioned. Unsolvable problems, there are no algorithms. Solvable but exponential time, that means there are algorithms, but algorithms are very inefficient. And in polynomial time, there are efficient algorithms. So for our bio-inspired computing, we cannot do anything here because they are unsolvable. We will not touch this one also because already they are good enough. So bio-inspired computing will only touch such type of problems. So in your research work, first you try to understand in which category your problem falls. Definitely your problem will not fall in this category. So your problem will either fall in these two categories. So either it will fall into this category or in this category. If your problem falls in this category, efficient algorithm related thing, then you really don't need any kind of bio-inspired computing. If your algorithms fall somewhere over here, then you can go for bio-inspired computing or non-conventional computing. I will tell you about that. Okay, so let's have a quick idea of what is the difference between polynomial time, something like v square, and exponential time, something like 2 to the power v. Suppose we have a graph of 100 vertices. To find the shortest path, so I think you know what is a graph. Graph means some type of vertex, and some cities are there and some roads are there, something like this. That's called a graph. And you have to find the shortest path from this city to this city. So there are weightage. Say for example, this one is 10 kilometer, this one is 5 kilometer. So what is the shortest path to reach from this city to this city? We have a very efficient algorithm which takes v square time. That means whatever is the size of the graph, that means the number of vertices, it will take only vertices into vertices, this much amount proportional to that. But there are other problems on graph, something like finding the Hamiltonian circuit of a graph. What is that? Say for example, you have a graph and you have certain such type of things. So can you run from one vertex, or can you walk from one vertex to the other, touching all of the vertex only once and come back to the original vertex? You will not touch the vertex twice except the starting vertex. So that's called a Hamiltonian circuit. And finding a Hamiltonian circuit on a graph, there is no such good algorithm. This is from graph theory's point of view. It's already a proven fact that there is no such good algorithm. There is a solution, but no such good algorithm. We really do not know how to solve it efficiently. So what we have to do, we have to take all possible combinations. So if there are v number of vertices, then we need to take 2 to the power v possibilities to check, and then you will be able to say whether there is any Hamiltonian circuit or not. So on a graph of 100 vertices, what is the difference? Let us try to understand that. Suppose I have n equal to 100. So what is 2 to the power 100? So 2 to the power 100 is that large a number. Are you getting my screen? So that's a very large number, 2 to the power 100. So if you need these many computations, how much time you will take, or how much time your computer will take? I'm assuming that your computer can compute 1 giga instructions per second. So total seconds, so total instruction that it can compute is x equal to 2 to the power 30. So that is the total instructions. 2 to the power 30 means 1 giga. 2 to the power 10 means 1 kilo. 2 to the power 20 means 1 mega. 2 to the power 30 means 1 giga. So in 1 second, it can compute this many instructions. That is one of the fastest computer in the world. Right? So if it computes in that speed, how much time will it take to compute all such type of things? Or how much time it will take these many instructions? So what am I going to do is I'm going to take it in a different way. So in 1 second, this one, in 1 hour, it will take this much amount of instructions, because 1 hour means 3600 seconds. In 1 day, it will be able to compute this much instructions, because 24 hours a day into 365, that means in a single year, it will be able to compute this much amount of instructions. In 1 crore year, it will compute this much instructions. Okay, so it will compute this much instructions in 1 crore year. So how much time it will take? 2 to the power 100 divided by x. That means this many crore years it will take to compute all these 2 to the power 100 possibilities. Are you getting my point? How hard it is? Okay. In my lecture, I will each and every 5 minutes I will stop, I will take a pause, and I will ask you questions. So as of now, what I have stated, if you have any doubt, anything you need a clarification, I will do, and then I will proceed. Please.
Excuse me, sir. I missed the first introduction round. Sir, for what purposes are these bio-inspired computing actually used for in the research purposes? Could you please tell us that?
I will tell them, because in this 2.5 years, I'm going to do this same thing. So I will discuss each and everything. Uh, so as a one-line answer, it is for those sort of problems where the solution is there, but there is no good mathematical or computational model that exists. In that case, we use bio-inspired computing. Solution is there, but we really do not know. Computer scientists, they do not know a good algorithm which can solve it. So in that case, we use bio-inspired computing.
And can be used for the social science purposes also.
Yeah, definitely. Social science is one of the major areas where we are penetrating now, because I will discuss that thing in detail. Social
And so
science
what
is.
is this like? What is this bio-inspired? What is this bio actually
I will
stands
come.
for?
I will come. I will come. It in later.
Sir,
Yeah.
so as you have mentioned that Hamiltonian circuit, there is a two theorem, no, the direct theorem and the Orius theorem. If you could elaborate on this.
No, see, this is not on Hamiltonian graph and related thing. My aim is for finding out Hamiltonian.
Hello? Hello? Sir, I can't hear you.
In something like 2 to the power v kind of a stuff. There are certain type of graphs where we can find out whether there is any Hamiltonian circuit or not, given the degree and certain other things. Based on the degree and other things, we can figure out for certain graphs. But as a generalized thing, given any graph, there is no such good algorithm. For example, in case of a complete graph, we can always say that yes, the Hamiltonian circuit exists. But that's a special case. In general, Hamiltonian circuit for finding out Hamiltonian circuit, there is no good algorithm.
Okay.
Okay. Any other question?
What is this Hamiltonian circuit actually? I didn't get it. And we are constantly talking about this algorithm. Now, how do you define algorithms actually? Like,
okay.
What is algorithm also?
Okay. First of all, Hamiltonian circuit is just an example from graph theory. In graph theory, there are a graph means certain vertices and certain edges are there, something like this. So Hamiltonian circuit means if somebody asks you to travel from one vertex, touching all of the vertices only once, and then coming back to the original vertex. Can there be any path where I can start from one vertex, then I will touch each and every vertex, and then I will come back to the original vertex? I will never touch the intermediate vertices twice. If we can do, then I will call that it's a Hamiltonian circuit. This was proposed by Hamilton, so it's called Hamiltonian circuit. Okay, it's related to some mathematical model graph theory. So if you really do not understand what is that, it's perfectly all right, because we are not really dealing with Hamiltonian circuit. That is an example. So in general, you have to understand that there are certain problems which are hard, and there are certain problems which are easy. I will give you ample examples, so the thing will be clear to you. And what is algorithm? Algorithm means essentially what I should say, it's a mathematical model for solving the solving a particular problem, or a computational model for solving a particular problem. Algorithm means I have what I should say. Uh, I have a logic by which I can solve the problem easily. That you can say as an algorithm in
Or
a naive way.
it's a problem solving operations.
It's the problem solving operations. It's the logic by which I can solve
Yeah.
the problem. That is called an algorithm. That is called an algorithm in naive sense. Okay. So as of now, what we have learned is there are three kinds of problems. For one, we have no algorithm or no solutions are there. Another is solutions are there but hard to find out. Another is solutions are there.
Sir, I am not getting your presentation clear, sir.
Is it? I mean, all others are getting my presentation. Is it coming?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes. So I am getting it.
Okay, okay.
I think there is some problem from his end, from his network.
I think so. You just try to reconnect those who are not getting the presentation. Okay. The second question is, okay, we have a problem where solution finding is hard. The second question, which is very crucial, is whether the solution is hard or the finding of the solution is hard. We need to concentrate on this particular problem because bio-inspired computing needs this thing. You have to address this thing first. Suppose I have taken the examples in most of the cases from graph theory, from number theory. I mean, but I will try to illustrate them in an easy way. Suppose I need a prime number. Prime number means the number 31, which is not divisible by any other number other than 1 and the same number. That is called a prime number. So this 31 is a prime number. In Bengali, we call it Moulik Sankha. In Hindi, I really do not know what it is called. But it's called prime number. So now if somebody tells you that come up with a prime number whose odd positions sums to 24 and even position sums to 25. Suppose you have a prime number something like 2, 3, 1, 5, 7, 1, something. Suppose this is a prime number. Now its odd position means 2 plus 1 plus 7 equal to something. Even position means this one plus this one plus this one. They are sum. So odd positions sum is 24, even position sum is 25. Now just try to understand here. If somebody comes with a solution, then checking whether it is a correct solution or not, it's very easy. It's easy, but finding such a solution is hard. This is one of the key factors in case of bio-inspired computing. In bio-inspired computing, most of the cases, checking whether the solution that I have got is a valid solution or not, that is very easy. But finding a solution which is acceptable or correct, that is hard. So that's why I need to distinguish between two things. Solution is hard or finding the solution is hard. No, solution is not hard. If somebody comes up with a circuit that he is saying that yes, go through these vertices and you will get the Hamiltonian circuit, you can check it easily. But to come up with a solution is hard. Okay. So for example, in our prime number case, if somebody comes up with this number, which is a prime number, somebody says, okay, this is a prime number, you will easily check whether it is a prime number or not. There are good algorithms for checking that. And you can easily check whether the odd positions, their sum is equal to 24 and even position sum is equal to 25 or not. You will check, yes, it is true. Yes, it is true. Are you getting my point? So finding such a solution is hard, but once you will get a solution, its checking is easy. If it is not, then your bio-inspired computing is not probably going to work for you. As a counter example, where finding the solution and checking the solution will take same amount of time, is something like this. For example, I have an array of elements, or suppose I have a set of numbers, and I would like to find out the maximum of that set of numbers. Suppose I have a container. In that container, there are certain numbers written in certain tokens or pages. So suppose there are 21, 23, so many numbers are there, and I need to find out which one is the maximum number. Now, if somebody tells you that, well, 23 is the maximum number, how can we check? I have no other way to check other than comparing that 23 with all of the numbers in that set, which is as bad as finding out the maximum, because we also find out the maximum in that way. How do we find out the maximum? We generally pick up one number from this container and check whether it is 20. Okay, so now it is maximum. Then we take the next number. If it is 1, then we do not update. If it is 23, then we remove this 20 and take this 23. In that way, eventually I will find out the maximum number. So finding out the maximum, and if somebody tells you, yes, this is the maximum, then checking whether he is telling the truth or not, it's going to take essentially the same amount of time, because in case of checking also you have to compare that number with each and every numbers. So in that case, solution finding and solution checking will take exact amount of time. We are not talking about that in our bio-inspired computing. In our bio-inspired computing, we are talking about solutions itself, or checking of the solution is hard. It is easy, but finding such a solution is hard. So whenever you will formulate your research problem, you have to think about that also. As an analogy, suppose you have oyster, and you have to figure out, suppose this is a sea where there are so many oysters are there, and you have to find out in which oyster there is a pearl. Now you can easily, now you are getting an idea. There are so many instances of the problem. We are talking about this term, instance. So there are so many instances of oyster. The question is, you really do not know which one contains a pearl. Now if somebody comes with an oyster and says, here is this, then you can easily open it up and you can check whether there is any pearl or not. So checking whether somebody is telling the truth is easy, but figuring out the correct oyster is hard. So if your problem is such, then you can go for bio-inspired computing or non-conventional computing. We should not say bio-inspired. You may take any other type of computing, but non-conventional computing. So many instances, we have to check each and every one. So in that case, we use bio-inspired computing. So the first lesson that we have learned, or we have to take home, is that if there are exponential number of instances, means there are so many instances that we will not be able to check all of them, then what we will do? We will use non-conventional computing or bio-inspired computing. In case of statistics, they essentially, or in your economics or agriculture also, you also use this thing. Now, naturally, you use this thing. In case of statistics, we have a term called sampling. What is sampling? It is because it is not really possible for us to check all of the instances. I would like to know the mood of the voters of our India, what is going to happen in our next election, parliament election, for example. is it really possible to check all of the instances? The answer is no. So what do? We take a sample. That means we have so many instances, but we cannot really check all of them. Then we will go for such type of non-conventional computing. So statistics is also in that sense an intelligent computing. It's not like mathematics. Mathematics deal with each and everything or prove it mathematically, or it should be true for all of the instances. Statistics does not say that. It says take a sample and try to guess. This guess may be wrong, guess may be right, but that much I can do. I cannot go beyond that. Yeah. So that is the important first lesson, that if your number of instances are such that you cannot really deal with all of those instances, it will take huge amount of time. Statistics can also do this thing. They can take a survey of all of the persons of India, but that's not economically feasible. So they take a sample. Okay. So the nature of the solution is also important. Okay. So it is something like, say for example, if you have one cluster where there is $1 billion pearl, probably you will have a larger instance. Or if you have a pearl which is 10,000 rupees, you cannot really afford to check more than 100 or more than 1,000 cluster. If you get one, then it is all right. If you do not get it, then you have to stop somewhere, something like this. Even if it is $1 billion pearl, you cannot really search the entire sea and check all of the clusters, because in that case your total cost will be probably beyond $1 billion. So you will not really take the risk, because it may so happen that after spending $1 billion, the cluster that you have tested, it is no such pearl. So you have to be very careful about designing your problem, that if such is the case, then we will go for bio-inspired computing or non-conventional computing. I will come to that in a moment, what is bio-inspired and what is that. But before, we need to know where we should use that. Okay, now come down to the nature of the solution. Suppose in case of a password guessing means you have so many possible passwords. So for example, in my bank, I have a password ABCDXYZ, whatever it is. It is a combination of all some characters and some letters. So what are those combinations? Maybe A 0000, AAAB 0000. There are so many instances of passwords. Out of those, I have only one password. If you will get a few dollars, not $1 billion. But even if it is the password of Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, you will get really $1 billion. The question is, checking all of the passwords, how much time it will take? It will take exponential amount of time, because there are millions of billions of trillions of such possibilities. With these 10-20 characters, how many possible passwords can there be? There will be trillions of characters that even all of the computers of this world will not be able to compute exhaustively all of the passwords in its lifetime of the universe. So that is the total number of instances. So will you go for a brute force search of the password? The answer is essentially no, even if we get $1 billion, because that is computationally infeasible. It's not impossible theoretically, but it is computationally infeasible. And the thing is that we cannot come up to a password which is almost accurate. Say for example, my password is ABCD 1 2 3 4. If this is my password, then if you can reach to ABCE 1 2 3 4, because it is almost 80% accurate, only there is one character mismatch, my bank account will be open for 80%. It's not going to happen. Password needs exact matching. If it matches, then it will work. If it does not match, it will not work. So in that case, your bio-inspired computing will also not work. There are certain other type of computing which are required, that is called attacking cryptographic system. So that's a different thing. But then if you need exact solution, then your bio-inspired computing is not going to work. So where it's going to work? It's going to work on optimization problems. In most of the cases, minimization or maximization problems, they are in general exponentially hard. For example, linear programming problem, those who have learned in economics or agriculture or statistics, those problems are, in general, we can find out linear programming problems easy to solve, but a generalized problem, that is hard. Or such type of problems, optimization problems. Suppose you have a cargo, you have a ship, and in that ship you have different type of containers that you have to load. How to put them into that ship so that you can afford, you can take maximum amount of boxes into that ship. Or you have a paper, photographic paper, and you have a request of different type of photographic pages, 4x6, 5x7, 3x6. How to put them into a single paper so that the maximum, the loss of these extra pages, that is minimum. That's called an optimization problem. You have to minimize the trim loss. Or such type of cases, you have a lift, suppose only 670 kg is allowed. So what should be the combination? This person, if you combine them, you will go to as close to 670 as possible. So what should be combination so that I can utilize my lift in an efficient way? That is essentially a hard problem. So in that case, you will use bio-inspired computing, because we really do not know a good algorithm for this. Okay, as of now, if you have any questions, I can address. If you have any questions, I can address. Please. Yes.
No, sir, you can go ahead.
Yeah. I think, am I audible? I'm not getting it properly also. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If you have any question, then you can ask me, otherwise I will proceed.
You can proceed.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so such type of cases, you have to think of this thing. But always, whenever you are formulating your research problem, you have to be sure whether there is a good algorithm for this one or not, or whether it is exponential in nature or not. And for that, you need at least some computer science or mathematics experts or your research guide, if he or she can help you, that I know this is its solution is exponential, then you can go for that. In most of the cases, I have seen some of the research problems for which there is a solution that exists, but the researcher has taken that as a bio-inspired computing. Then in the PhD board, some of the persons, they have raised the question, why have you selected bio-inspired computing for that? Already there is a good algorithm for this. Okay, so for optimization problems, most of the cases we take this one. Say for example, in case of lift, we can use bio-inspired computing, because in case of lift, this problem is called a subset sum problem. Finding out the solution whose maximum limit is this, what should be the combination of the numbers which can give you that. So that is essentially a hard problem. And in case of optimization problem also, we have to know what is called a feasible solution. Feasible solution means a solution which is possible at least. For example, in case of 670 kg, if somebody comes up with a solution which is very close to 670, but a little bit extra, then it's not a feasible solution, because lift is not going to work if its weight is even 1 kg extra. It will give a beep, 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 beep sign and it will stop. Signal, and it will stop. Rather, if somebody comes up with a solution 640, which is not even closer to 670, is a good solution because it is feasible, possible. So you have to come up with a solution which is possible, and it is an optimization problem. So in case of optimization problem, we need to come up with a solution which is feasible, and for that we need such type of bio-inspired computing. Okay, so now it has come to the question of what is actually bio-inspired computing. How do ants find food? Suppose there is one ant, there is a food, there are certain obstructions here. Ants always finds out the optimum path. How they find out the optimum path? That is also optimization problem. So in our bio-inspired computing, we try to simulate this ant's behavior to find out the optimal solution. These sort of models are called ant colony optimization. Ant colony optimization, or ACO. We will not discuss this ACO today, but such type of problems are there. How do birds move? So birds generally move from one position to the other, and from there to the other, and they try to find out where there are foods and such other things, or suitable weather. How do they move? That is also an inspiration for us to find out where to find out the good thing or good solution. There are several possible places where a bird can move, but a bird always moves. In most of the cases, they move to the suitable position, but there are foods. How do they move? So from there, we have got an idea of how we can find out solutions. That is also called a bio-inspired computing. Bio-inspired computing means in biology or in real life, biological creatures or biological organs, how do they optimize? In case of bird, it is called particle swarm optimization, or PSO. We will not talk about this PSO today also, but you should know that there are certain such kind of optimization thing, or such kind of models that exist in computer science. In case of
Sir,
yes, please.
in your previous example, that bird, how the birds move, so are you in a way talking about that agent-based modeling?
There are several popular names for that. It is agent-based modeling. There may be some other type of modeling also. But
So,
fundamentally,
yeah.
yes, fundamentally, we need to know that whenever we have no other way to find out the solution, we have to do something better than random. How do we do? Follow how the birds do this thing. How do we do? Follow an ant. How does it find out a solution? Something like this. Let me give you one example. For example, mm, for example, uh, I need to find out. mm, I need to find out a person who is computer learned and who can solve my problem. Suppose you have a problem, you really do not know whether that is an exponential hard problem or not, or whether you can use a bio-inspired computing for that or not. So you need a computer scientist. Now, in this universe, in this world, there are millions of computer scientists. Who is the best person to tell you this thing? So you have to ask all those 10 million people. Can you do that? The answer is no.
No.
So what can you do? Maximum you can go do better than random. So
Right.
you will try to find out some persons, you will try to see their profile, and then you will try to write a mail to them. Preferably they are computer scientists, they can find out the solution. Maybe the best solution that you can get is not from a computer scientist, it may be from some other person from sociology who has addressed the same problem. He or she can tell you, okay, this is not the right one, or go for that, or don't go for that, I have already tested. But how will you do this thing? As in cases where there are no other alternatives, you can pick up random,
Hmm.
or you can do something better than random. So bio-inspired computing essentially inspires us to do something better than random. At least some guided random. Random, but guided random. Some type of guidance will be there. We always use this thing.
Okay.
In our real life also, we always use this thing. Whenever we move, whenever we go, whenever we read, we use better than random. That is the inspiration for bio-related computing. Because you can't do anything other than that. Yes.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So in case of our gene or our chromosome, probably you are aware of the fact that offsprings comes from chromosomes, of one chromosome from father, one chromosome from mother, and generally we see that the offsprings are better than their fathers and mothers. This is not in general for a single generation, but over the generations we have observed. We have started from the very ancient age, so now we are in computer age. So generally, we are improvising our human nature or improvising our characters. So how these biological genes, they are getting better in every generation or generations after generation. How do they know how to go in a better way? How do they know, or how they optimize? That is another inspiration in case of bio-inspired computing. This one I will be talking about in the subsequent part of my lecture. And another important and most popular one is, how do our brain learn? Do we learn exact thing? The answer is no. We do not learn exact thing. We learn something which is called partial learning, intelligent learning. So how do we learn? How do our brain learn? How it takes decisions? How it optimizes? So it is called, so the previous one is called genetic algorithm, or GA, and this one is called artificial neural network, or ANN. Artificial neural network, or ANN. These are called neurons. Brain consists of neurons, and it is not actual neuron, it is artificial neurons. So it's called artificial neural network. Okay, there are certain properties of bio-inspired computing. The first one and the foremost one and the important one is they are non-deterministic. What is the meaning of that? Means every time you will run the algorithm, bio-inspired algorithm, on the same problem, it's going to give you different results. Sometimes it will give you some result, sometimes it will give you some other result. These are non-deterministic. So suppose in one run in your home, you have got a very good solution, and then you rush to your supervisor, and then you are trying to simulate that. Your program may not give that one. It may give very dramatically bad result also. You will never be able to simulate this one in second chance. There is a very few possibility that this the result that you are getting in one run will be re-simulated in any other run. You will go get some different type of values. So that is called a non-deterministic one. And in most of the cases, their nature is non-linear. It's a very complex situation. So many computations are there. So how the input is mapped to the output, it's not linear kind of a stuff. It's a very non-linear. The third one is it may not always converge to a solution. It may go out of the window also. You are trying to run, sometimes it is converging to a solution, sometimes it is not even in a position to converge. It is saying, okay, it's not possible to find out the solution. And the fourth one is it may fall into the local optima also. Local optima means if you find out the minimum, so this minimum is here. So if you start your computation from here, you may come down to this position and you can say, okay, this is the minimum that I have got. Such type of problems are there. Such type of problems are there. Some remedies are there also. But in case of bio-inspired computing, these are the problems. First of all, it is not deterministic. Every time you will run, you will get the exact same result. Those are called deterministic algorithms. Those efficient algorithms that I have dealt with, or I have talked earlier, those are deterministic. But these algorithms are non-deterministic. Something like Moody. Sometimes it will say good, sometimes it will say it's not that good. Yeah. So these are Moody algorithms. Okay. Up to this, if you have any questions.
Could you please explain that local optima part again? They may fall into a local optima.
Okay. Local optima, there is a good example is we nowadays in lockdown, we generally surf YouTube heavily. See, you will always fall in a local optima kind of a stuff. I generally used to listen classical Indian classical music. So whenever I give the YouTube search with certain names, all these songs of that person and related persons that used to come, I will never get a classical song which of a person whose name I have never heard about. So it will try to come down to a narrow position and it will try to find out in that case, something like this. Or, for example, you are trying to find out a good person who can help you in computer. You will see, either you will search your local college or university or some known person of your other universities and something like this. So always you will come down to a local optima. You always settle with a local optima. We never try the global optima. Who is the best person to help me in this world? We cannot really move in that way. Suppose in this coursework you have got the idea of some other person. You are familiar. You have become familiar with some other persons. If you face any problem, you will ask this set of problems, this set of persons. So that's another local area. So they will either help you or they will try to give you the suggestions that go to this person or that person, but that's not the globally optimum thing. So local optima, in most of the cases we settle in our real life, but there may be a global optima. Suppose in your computer scientist find out problem, so you are here, you will try to find out some, so in your college or university you will try to find out or the college or university where you have studied, you will try to find out, or in this coursework where you have got the idea of some persons, you will try to find out from them. You will try to settle with one of the persons of these sets, but actual person who can help you is maybe sitting somewhere over here. You will not be able to reach to him. So that is called local optima. So locally, the area where you are here, where you are there, you will try to settle with a solution from there. In most of the cases, we do this thing. Any other question?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll try to give you the introduction of neural network, artificial neural network. But before that, I would like to tell you about what is classification and what is clustering. Classification means we generally call it a supervised learning. Means some supervisor will train you and you will learn. For example, there are certain fonts. I really do not know what font it is, maybe Korean. If I ask you to divide these characters into two different sets, how will you classify? Can anybody tell me? Into two different sets. These characters you have to divide into two different sets. How will you do this? Based on any feature. Can anybody tell me?
Can we choose that mapping function?
Can we choose the
Mapping function input?
No, suppose these are the characters and I am asking you to separate them into two
letters
sets.
with dot. So
Okay,
letters with
good.
dot and without dot.
Okay, good. Letters with dot and letters without dot. So in that case, this letter will come, and some other letters with dot, they will come into one and others will come into the other. So what he has done is essentially clustering. But the person who knows the language will maybe divide it, this one also, maybe. Why? Because maybe they are vowels and rest are consonants. So how did he know that these are vowels? Because there was a training process that was involved. Somebody has trained him or her that these are vowels, these are consonants, do this thing, do that thing. So that's the difference between classification and clustering. From the surface, from the face value, what we can do without training, that is called clustering. With training, that means having the domain knowledge, what we can do, that is called classification. The classifications always that is associated with training. Without training, we cannot really, no matter how much time we see, we look at these characters, we will not be able to classify them in vowel and consonants. I really don't know whether there is a concept of vowel or consonant or not, but if it is there also, we will not be able to do that. For that, we need a supervised training. What is supervision? My son, who is 4.5 years old, I used to train him in that way. So this is A, this is B, this is, sometimes he will say B, say 8, depending upon, so his training is not clear now. He is not well trained. So sometimes he may tell this one as 8, this one as B, but I will not make a mistake. So he is under training process. So he is going through a supervised learning. I am rectifying. No, this one is 8. This one is B. So what am I doing is essentially I am training his neurons in the brain, and whatever mistakes he is making, I am just trying to rectifying that. Sometimes something like this. Suppose this is B. He will say 8. I will say, no, 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 it's not 8, it is B. So he will say, why it is B? Because this line is a straight line. So that's why it is B. And this one is 8 because it is a curved line. That's why it is 8. Yeah. So that's called a kind of training process, supervised learning. And what he is learning is he's learning this classification. He can now classify A, B, C, D. Sometimes he makes a mistake with B and D, but he is under training process. Well, so whenever I can remember, whenever I start teaching him about animals, so a cow, this is a cow. Why this is a cow? Because it has 4 legs. Then whenever he saw a lion, he says, Baba, that is also cow. I said, no, 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 it's not cow. Its color is yellow. So in that way, he is actually rectifying himself. And he is adjusting his neurons. The same thing we do in case of our artificial neural network. If you have any questions up to this. There are 3 types of learning. One is supervised learning. Mostly it is associated with artificial neural network. Unsupervised learning, which is called clustering. And there is another type of learning which is called reinforced learning. We will not be able to talk about that. But supervised learning means somebody will make a mistake and then a guide will tell him, okay, there is a mistake, so rectify yourself. So that's called a supervised learning. In that way, our neurons are trained. We are going to train our neural network, artificial neural network, in that way also. So as I have mentioned earlier, that in case of supervised learning, in case of artificial neural network, we need supervised learning. And we need a training, which is essential for us. Right? Okay. So that is the architecture of a biological neuron. I will not discuss that thing because I really do not know what actually biological neuron is in that sense. So what we are interested about its architecture is its functionality. Our neurons are a repository of certain small tiny memories, as the biologist used to say. I really do not know this part. According to them, and these neurons, they form a network. Suppose this neuron is connected to this neuron is connected to this neuron, this neuron, in that way. And whenever there is a certain stimulus, it activates one neuron, and then that neuron passes the information to the other. And if it is that much activation comes to the next neuron, that also fires, and it propagates the information to the next one using some electrochemical signaling. But that is essentially the architecture of our brain. Computationally, our brain is very slow, very slow. But the resultant of our brain is fascinating. The biologists believe that it is because of its dense, parallel, independent, small computing. So all of these neurons are small computers. Because they are enormous such type of computing devices, neurons, as a result, we look like intelligent. That is the claim from the biology side. And you can get an idea from that also. Say, for example, now you are leading a life in your university profession, or you are a scholar or whatever. Say, for example, at certain moment in a railway station, you meet some old friend. Whenever you will recall that, yes, he is this guy, then automatically all the associated related things that will come to your mind. Okay, can you recall that we have done this thing, and that teacher, he used to take classes in that way, and all those things will come into your mind. And then you will be wondering, okay, all those were there in my mind. I totally forgot about all those things. But no, you didn't. It is because there was not enough stimulus to recall all those facts to come out. Now suddenly you have seen your friend, and that acts as a stimulus to the nearby neurons, and that creates such type of amazing thing that you can recall all of those associated things suddenly. Huh? So this happens. Sometimes we really we are getting, we will wonder that yes, was those things in our mind? I never thought of it even. I mean, those were there in our mind, but it is there. We need certain stimulus. So that is a kind of architecture our brain follows, and we also follow such type of things in our neural network. In our case, our neural network is a simple model, very simple model. Certain inputs are there, some hidden layers are there. So all these are essentially, in our case, a neuron. I will discuss what a neuron means. Some neurons will be there in one or two layers. Those are called hidden layers. Hidden means it is in between input and output. And some neurons will be there in the output layer. And these neurons will have certain connections, and these connections will have certain weight, 2.31, or maybe between 0 and 1, 0.11. All these neurons will have certain weight, and each and every neuron will have certain activation function, which is called propagation function or activation function, whatever it is. So that activation function will decide whether to propagate certain weight through that link or not. Right? So if it decides that it will propagate some weight, so it will let this weight to flow, and these weights will be adjusted, and ultimately that weight will hamper the performance of this, or will influence the performance of this, and those neurons, they may get fired or they may get propagated, and these weights of this layer will be adjusted, and ultimately the output layer, their weights will be adjusted, and that will tell you something. Okay, this is this. And then as you are in training process, your training data will be matched with this data, and you will say, no, it's not that, you have made a mistake. So you just readjust the weight, and then again you will try to train this neural network, and you will try to adjust the weights, and at certain point of time, all of the training data, these weights will be adjusted, so that your neural network can easily tell certain output for certain input. That's it. That's the architecture of a neuron or neural network. Okay, as of now, if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask questions. If you are not in a position to get something is awkward for you, just ask me. If you have any question, you can ask me.
Sir, you said that classification versus clustering. You said supervised learning comes under classification, right? And like with having the domain knowledge, is it? Or I just misunderstood the thing. And clustering will come without domain knowledge, is it? Or just the reverse?
You will never, your idea is true, only that clustering do not need domain knowledge. It's not fully true. Means your in your clustering case, your model will not be trained. You need a domain knowledge for designing your system, but your model will not be trained in that sense. But you need certain domain knowledge to design your clustering model. For my son, who is 4.5 years old, he will try to distinguish them in maybe based on size. This is large, Papa, this is large, this is small, so I will divide it into these two parts.
So your voice
But I may divide it based on my previous experience.
Yeah.
Okay, is it audible now? Okay, so whenever we will go to fish shop to buy some fish, if I ask my 4.5-year-old son, he will do clustering kind of a stuff because he does not know which is the which fish. So he will try to classify it into two parts. Maybe one set of fish is small, another set of fish is large. But whenever I will classify based on the species. Small hilsa, large hilsa. I will put them into same. So there I am applying my domain knowledge, and because I am trained in that way. And my son is not that trained, but he has also his model. There he needs certain domain knowledges. He identifies which one is fish. He is not separating non-fish kind of a stuff. Those other elements which are sitting there, say for example potato is there, maybe some carrot is there, he will consider those fishes only. So some type of domain knowledge is required, but not for the training purpose. So he is not trained. So whenever I will give him training by giving a sample, okay, this fish is called this one, these are the characteristics of this fish, then I will call it a supervised learning, and he will classify them instead of clustering. Clustering is most natural way you can distinguish them. Maybe two sets of persons are there. One are sitting, one have wear red color dress, another black color. So you will divide them into two parts. In that way, you do not have a domain knowledge.
So in a nutshell, like when a process or when a model takes place with without training, that process is called clustering. And when the same process is done with a supervised learning process or a training via the mechanism of training, then the process is termed as classification.
Exactly so. So whenever there is a training, it's called supervised. Whenever there is no training, it's called unsupervised. Whenever it is supervised, you can say classification. Whenever it is called unsupervised, it's called clustering. That's the formal definition. But in our research work, we sometimes overlook this one also. But that's the formal way of telling this thing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
But sir,
okay, please.
Is it also correct that if in supervised learning, if we are labeling all data, then it's called supervised? It's a mapping function. It's in a function. We are giving input and output and labeling all data. That is called supervised learning, as I have learned in my course.
Exactly so. Labeling means you are correcting.
Yeah.
Labeling means what she is telling is labeling. Labeling means you are correcting. So these are the features. For example, a fish, it has to be of this size, it has to be of this thickness, glossiness is this, then it is called hilsa. So this hilsa term is associated, it's called the level of this instance. So labeling, why it is required? Because my son will say, Baba, this one is Rohi. And I will say, no, it's not Rohi, it's hilsa. I'm correcting. I'm giving this correct level. So he is trying to readjust his neural weights. So labeling means there is a training. I mean, you have labels and you are not using that. That means you are not giving any training. And you do not have any labels. That means you cannot also give them training. What will you call that one if you do not know the name? So labeling means you are essentially using that for training purposes. We use the names for training purposes. This is A, this is B. I'm giving a name to that. So whenever my son will write, okay, no, this is not A, this is looking like B. So just readjust your neurons. So I'm giving a training, I'm giving a levels. And then whenever I have trained him with this A, I will try to check whether this one he can identify as A or not. I have given a training like this B, and see if somebody write this one, whether he can identify, then I will say, okay, his training is complete. He can now get a get a got a pattern. So what we learn is not essentially A. We learn the pattern of it. Our mothers or fathers, they have taught us. We have never encountered that A again. Or my father's handwriting, my mother's handwriting.
That is pattern recognition.
So they will not be able to
So in
regenerate
case
that
of
A
domain knowledge,
again.
have
So every
also,
time they will write a A, that will be different. So how will you learn? That's a new cycle. We really don't learn A. Exactly. So what we learn in
so domain knowledge can have impact with the cluster studying, because higher the domain knowledge, they will cluster the sampling more precise way, or
in case of
so
domain
domain knowledge can have impact on cluster study too. Is that
knowledge,
right, sir?
please.
So in case of more the domain knowledge, there may be more effect on cluster study. The higher the domain knowledge, they will cluster the sampling more precise way,
Yeah,
rather than.
that is.
Is that right?
Otherwise, how will you design a model if you really do not know anything? It's not really possible for us to design a model.
So voice is not coming. Okay, okay, right.
Clustering model.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So what we learn is essentially we learn the
Sir,
pattern,
one more thing, sir.
and that
Sir,
is
sir,
yeah,
one more query. Is leveling and mapping synonymous,
yeah.
or they are two different terminologies? Mapping and leveling. We have been talking
Mm,
about leveling and mapping. They are synonymous, or they are two
no,
different terminologies?
no, no. They are, in my opinion, they are different. Mapping means what is the function that will give me the idea that these are the parameter value will map to certain level, and that is what we call a model. So mapping is essentially a model. So this neural network is nothing but a mapping model which will take certain inputs and will map to certain levels. Yeah.
So we
Inputs
have
are
in
there.
a mathematical function also, no? Function of x and y. We
Yeah,
map
that is
this
a
value
mathematical
based
function.
on. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that is a mathematical function also. This one you can say it's a very complex non-linear mathematical model. It will take certain input, it will give you certain mapping to certain level. So every mathematical model, every algorithm, every program, what does it do?
There is
Even
input, there
if
is output.
there is an input, there is a processing, and there is output. So in case of our computers definition, we have learned in our college or school life. Computers are a computing device, electronic device that takes certain input, processes, and generates the output. That's a mapping. That's a mapping. So algorithm means it will take certain input, some complex function will map to the output. That's it. So that is also we are doing here also. Here also, same thing we are doing. Okay, I will come to this neural network type related things, but let us try to take an example that will probably be more helpful for you. Uh, I will expect certain voices from those who are from agriculture or social science also, because in that case we can also reformulate certain problems in this class. If you have any problem in your mind and you design a neural network based system or not, so you can ask me also. So what you are supposed to do, you are not going to write down your neural network model in your own, because there are certain R packages, certain Python packages. Already you have learned R, so that you can readily use. You have to call that library, you have to call that function, and certain inputs and certain other parameters you have to provide, and that will do the computations for you. What you have to learn is essentially you have to learn to formulate your problem into that, how to formulate your problem into neural network problem, or whether it is at all a neural network based solvable problem or not, that you have to know. That's it, that much you can do. Okay, now let's take a problem. Suppose there are 4 types of leaves. These are 4 types of leaves. I really do not know their names. I have taken them from internet. And suppose these type of leaf, it has 1,000 samples. So 1,000 images are there of this leaf. 1,000 images of this leaf. 1,000 images of this leaf. 1,000 images of this leaf. I will train my system with those leaves, so that a new leaf, whenever it will come out of this 4, it will say yes, this is this leaf. By the way, let me tell you one thing. Neural network model cannot extrapolate. Extrapolate means that thing that it has learned, it cannot go beyond that. It can interpolate. That is important. So if you come up with a new thing and it will start talking about that, it's not going to happen. It cannot extrapolate. And even if in this case, if you think that it is obvious, that it will not be able to say, it's not always obvious in some cases. In our research work, we modeled something using neural network. That was something like this. We tried to figure out the stock market buying and selling pattern, or stock market prediction. What will be the model? What will be the stock market value in the next 3 months or next 10 days? We have tried to train our model from 2008 to 2010, and then we have tried to we have given this neural network model that what will be the value at 2009. The problem was that in 2009 the market became something like this, and my neural network, its value was within this range, so it is talking something like this. It is never going to the upper value that has been given to it, the lower value that has been fed to it. It is not in a position to tell such type of high peaks. So that is also an extrapolation. So it's not that always a new species will come. Sometimes your model if you really go into the deeper of neural network, you will learn so many things. It looks obvious. Why it will not be able to say? It is because it has been trained that take the value from stock market value 8,000 to 12,000. It will be there from 8,000 to 12,000. It will never go to 20,000. So that extrapolation, that is not really possible. It will be within this range. We have to be very careful. Okay, so how to classify them? The most challenging part here is, see, our computers as well as our neural networks, they really do not understand leaves or images or voices or social science problems or agriculture problems. What do they understand are certain numerical values. Suppose 2.31, 3.41, it only understands such type of values. What is it? 3.41, it only understands such type of values. Now, then the question is how to represent this leaf into such type of values. What are the parameters that will represent the instance? That is the most challenging task in most of the cases. That is the most challenging task in most of the cases. Suppose in case of social science, I really want to know whether mm, people are becoming more religious or non-religious. So that is my research work. How am I supposed to train my network? I will train my network, then somebody will come, I will take his values, and what sort of value will represent a person in that sense? Whether somebody is religious or non-religious. Maybe I will try to figure out try to extract some numerical values. How much time you devote in your puja related things? How many times you go to temples or church or girjas? Or such type of thing. So that will represent the instances inclination towards religiosity. And that is the main important thing in case of your computations, because otherwise you cannot really establish computationally that yes, that's the sample, and from that sample I'm getting that yes, clearly in today's context they are more religious or less religious whatsoever. Yeah, or something like in today's context, for example, whether people are mm, are
Using social media or not.
yeah. Okay, so for example, people are using social media or not. Fine. Whether they are using social media or not, there is a clear-cut answer. Okay, if you can use this one, say for example, whether people are getting, they are more angry, they are becoming more angry or not. How we are going to qualify that? There are certain things that will represent that particular trait, particular quality, using certain parameters, certain numbers. So just try to find out whether that is possible or not. And in case of neural network, you need huge amount of samples. In case of our research work, we generally collect 200, 300, 400 samples. And that's not gonna work in case of our neural network. Your neural network needs at least 2000, 3000, 4000 samples. So those who are collecting data from door to door, or maybe you are going to certain institution and you are giving certain leaflets, sir, fill up this form, I need to know your these things, and maximum you can collect 200 data in that way. Your neural network is not going to work in that way. Never, because it will not be able to be, you will not be able to train your neural network with this much amount of data. You need at least 1000 data. And if you have different samples, say for example you have 10 different classes, here I have 4 different classes, I need at least 1000 data. If I have maybe 20 different classes, I need at least 2000 data. Such type of numbers are important. If you come up with a neural network that has been trained with 60 data or 80 data, it's not going to work. But sometimes the data collection is really expensive. Those who are from agriculture, they know that in certain agricultural data collection, they have to pass this leaf to certain chemicals, then that chemical, from there they will take certain measure, and each and every chemical experiment will take maybe 1000 rupees. So they cannot really take more than 20, 30 or 40 data. So in that case, statistics is far more suitable for them, because statistics can deal small data, student t-test, something like that. I really do not know, but statistics will be more helpful for them. But neural network, artificial intelligence, genetic algorithm, and colony optimization, bee colony optimization, you need huge amount of data. Okay. Say another example. I want to know the personality analysis from the handwriting. Suppose this one, he is a very gentle person. This type of handwriting, he's a very cruel person. This type of handwriting, you have several samples of handwritings. Now the question is, this looks good, but how will you numerically quantify this handwriting? What will you say about this handwriting? How will you represent this handwriting with certain numbers, 2.35, 3.75? that way. That's important. One maybe something like this curvatures. How many curvature like things are there? Somebody has written U as this. Somebody has written U as. Somebody has written U as this. So whether there is any curvature or not, maybe one trait. So what is the curvature? There is a numeric value. So that will represent the quality of the handwriting. That we can visualize. How will you represent that using numbers? That is the most challenging task in your case, because you are not going to design the neural network. You are going to design the sample data set for the neural network. And once it is there, you can readily use the already developed packages and you can get the output. That's the thing for you. Okay. So first difficult thing is definitely to identify the features. So what are the features? Maybe number of fingers in such cases. In case of this leaf, how many fingers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In this case, 1. In this case, 1. That may be one feature. Width versus height ratio. Width versus height means this by this, or this by this, this by this, this by this ratio. So that is another attribute. Type of the vein, how the veins are designed. Those are some type of attributes which are required, which may be used. Even some chemical treatment that may be used. Whether if you drop this one into some chemical compound, it's going to give red color or it's going to give blue color. So based on that you can, but you have to somehow represent that leaf by certain numeric values. And ultimately, you need certain good features for the classification. What do we mean by good feature? Good feature means the feature that you will opt will be different for different species. For example, shape of the leaf is a good feature for our leaf example, but the color of the leaf may not be a good feature because all of the leaves are having green color. You will not be able to distinguish them. So identifying which are the good features. Good features means features are distinct from distinct samples and uniform for same sample. That's a good feature. So that is the most challenging task in case of designing any kind of system. Forget about neural network. Even if it is a statistical model also, you need such type of things. Okay, as of now, if you have any question. Yes, please.
Sir, we can distinct also color of leaves as you have shown that various leaves. So among them also we can that I think through the deep learning processes.
Yeah, deep learning processes we can do that. In case of deep learning, there is a model called convolutional neural network.
Right.
There we can do this thing, but that will be too much hard for the general session. That's why I'm not. I mean, I really don't want to think that term here.
It's just a query.
Yeah, I can use those sort of image-related things in deep learning using convolutional neural network. But that's not a general neural network. That's a deep learning part.
Right.
Any other question? If you have any type of problem, then you can state, can we design a neural network using that? So we can try to reformulate that also. Somebody from social science, they have told that we are from social science. If you have any problem.
Sir, I am Shriman Bhattacharya. I have done my PhD from Kolkata University. My work was on small industries in West Bengal. And I have visited during my PhD work, I visited 4 districts. Now, the small industries, regarding sampling, we have used the Cochrane's formula, by which out of the population, that sample size were drawn. Now, by that, you just exactly said that while serving to various industrial factories, we found that about 300 plus sample was gathered in total. So in that case, that means we have got some clusters of suppose 70, 80 number of samples from each district. So 4 clusters were there, and from there we have made that thesis out of that. Now the thing is that whether that sort of data can be converted in this particular aspect in the way you are teaching us.
Okay, but
Thank
what
you,
is the objective of your, what was the objective of this data collecting? What would you like to see there? What did you see there?
So actually, for industrialization, there is a scheme of government that is called MSME scheme, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Program. So over there, the effect of the scheme over these small industries, that was my work.
Okay.
So the kind of monetary support, the kind of technical support, that was the objective to see whether they have received anything out of that or not.
Okay,
so whether that can be, that's my question, sir.
Okay, how you have inferred? Have you taken the numerical value to infer your objective, or subjectively you have inferred that in these districts there are 10 such type of facilities? So I think it is it like this, or it is like statistically you have established this thing?
So it was a little bit of mixed of both. Actually, yeah, it was a mixed, both categorical as well as continuous data was there.
Good, got it. The problem is, in case of neural network or in case of bio-inspired computing or whatsoever, we need numerical data, and that is continuous data.
Yeah.
Let me finish. And the objective of that has to be very clear. So, okay, if these are the features, and my claim is this is a level for that. So, for example, you have collected the data of 300 companies. So, first company, it is good, or it is getting 8 out of 10. The second company, it is getting maybe 7 out of 10. The third company, it is giving 8 out of 10. In that way, you have labeled at least 200 to 300 data. Then you have to train your model. Then you just check whether the remaining 100, if you feed them, whether your model can successfully tell that it is a company getting a marks of 10 or not, 10 or 8 or 7, and you just check whether it is accurately predicting the model thing or not. If it is so, then you can say that you have trained the model and now you have designed a model which is suitable for future use. But my suggestion is, in such cases, 300 is not enough. We need at least more than 500 or 600 data. Otherwise, your model will be under-trained.
Okay, I got your point, sir. So much more amount of data. That means more surveys required to be done to conduct this particular modeling.
Exactly, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other question from social science? From social science, any other question? Or if you can share your PhD related problems, then I mean, if it is data related problem, then you can share your problem also. We can try to.
Sir, I'm trying to work on migration and poverty in the hilly regions of West Bengal and Sikkim. So how do I use this bio-inspired computing in my context? Like,
so you want to see whether they will migrate or not, is it?
Yeah, migrate poverty status of this. Yeah, migration and poverty status.
Fine, but migration and poverty means what do you like to map? Poverty inspired migration, such type of things.
Yeah, distress driven migration, which is usually because of the poverty.
Yeah, very good. So that means you would like to see whether this poverty and other type of social factors, whether that forces the migration or not. Is
yes,
it?
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
okay. Yes. So you have a two-valued answer. The answer is whether they will migrate or they will not migrate. Fine. So
Yeah.
your answer is two valued, so 0 or 1.
Mm.
Now you just try to find out what are the representative of these poverty related things and how you can numerically quantify them. That is important because in social science, most of the cases, there are subjective evaluations also. They earn not enough amount of money, so they are poor, or they are below poverty line, so they are poor. Computer will not understand that. Hmm? You have to quantify everything. They are earning, maybe it is below 1000, so you will give 0.5, 1000 to 2000 you will give 0.7. Such type of numerical representation will be there. So for poverty, for other social factors, you have to think what sort of numerical representation of that social factor will be there. Suppose there are political pressures, caste pressures. So caste pressure, how can you quantify that? You have to give certain numbers. So if they fall in this category, I will give them 0.7 out of 1. So they are caste wise, they are most pressurized per group to be migrated. So somehow in that way you will get certain attributes, 10 or 20 or whatsoever. Those are the attributes of a person. So a person is having poverty measure 0.5, caste measure 0.7, other social measure 0.5, the language measure 0.8. In that way, each and every instance will be numerically represented with certain attributes. If you can do that, and if you can collect huge amount of data, at least 500, then you can train for the first 400. You check whether those social pressures have forced him to migrate or not. You just check all of this, whether they have migrated or not. So you will get all the 500 data with label. But for the first 400, you train the neural network that these are the factors he has migrated. These are the factors not migrated. These are the factors migrated. In that way. So once the training is complete, your neural network is ready with its all learning purposes, learning things. And then you supply the next 100 data without giving the label. Then just check these are the factors, tell whether he has migrated or not. If your computer can say or program can say yes, he is migrated, and he will check whether this prediction is correct or not. If it is correct 95% of time or 80% of time, then you will say that yes, your prediction is true. You have decided or you have designed a model which can successfully predict also that these are the social factors. I can tell, okay, he will migrate or not. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And regarding these instances, you were telling the different instances like caste pressure, political pressure, employment, different employment opportunities available in their area. So you say that these instances have to be represented numerically by this 0.5 or 0.7.
Whatsoever, that you will understand better. I mean, I really do not know what are the representative of a person that is that actually forces someone for migration. Definitely, for example, whether he has Jio SIM or Airtel SIM, that is not a factor that drives him for migration. That is a factor. That is a factor for other purposes, but not for migration. So you have to identify the traits which are the driven forces for migration. Poverty is one. Caste maybe. I'm just guessing. Caste is one. Maybe other social factors are one. Language may be one. Education may be one. But education you have to quantify somehow. You have to quantify. Means high educated, maybe you will give 0.8. Low educated, you will give 0.1. Somehow you have to quantify. Ultimately, your number should look like 0.5, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9 on different attributes. Poverty 0.2, education 0.5, this 0.8, this 0.9. So that will be the representative of that person for this neural network. And then take the result whether he has migrated or not. If he migrates, then
so that attributes which I will be assigning on the various instances which have to be done by myself, it won't be done in the it won't be by the computing process. The neural network will be done by the computing process.
Neural network will be done by the computing
400
process.
data set that we're talking about with label, and then testing the next 100 data set without label. So that will be actually the computation process will be done by this by inspired computing. Okay.
Exactly. And here is your expertise, that which are the traits or which are the attributes that I will pick, that will be a very decisive factor. If you take a wrong factor, that has no influence, so what will happen? Your neural network will not be able to predict. For example, color of eyes, if you take, probably it will have no impact on migration. So if you take color of eyes, whether they are black or gray or something like that, so if you take all of the features which are not influential, you are going to get a wrong representative of that person. These are the representative of the person, but not for this sort of things. In the marriage scenario, those color of eyes and other things, they may be a decisive factor. Whether there is a question of marriage, so color of eyes, color of hairs, that may be a decisive factor.
Height, weight of the person.
Yeah, but in case of migration, those are not decisive. Those are the in both the cases, those are the representative of the person. But those traits or attributes vary depending upon what is your objective. That you have to first figure out.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Yeah.
Sir, as in the case of migration, that gender is playing a big role. So sometimes that it's a notion that male is the breadwinner, so male is to more migrate. So because there is always that biasness, that algorithm biasness is there. So how can we because if we are training in such a way that model, so maybe there will be bias will come.
No. Bias will not come from the model. Bias will either come from your model framing or your data.
In the framing, or who is developing that algorithm?
Model does not know whether male is more prone for migration or not. Model does not know. So the sample, if you have an ill sample, suppose you have decided that you will stand in front of what I should say, in a city, in some place, you will sit, you will stand, and whoever will come using a motorcycle, you will ask. So definitely you are going to ask more number of male than the more number of females. So that's the problem of the sampling, not the problem of the model. So definitely you are going to get more input from the male, and your data is essentially a biased data. Essentially, your model will also be biased, but it's not the responsibility of the model. It's the responsibility of the sample.
Developer.
The sample. And most of the cases, sampling is one of the hardest thing. I mean, in statistics, they know it. I mean, they fight with this, that it has to be random. Yes. But how this randomness will come, nobody knows. Nobody knows how to pick up the random sample. If you think that, okay, I will pick up a telephone directory and I will ask my 4-year-old son, put your hand on certain telephone numbers and ask them, then essentially you will meet a huge amount of people who do not have telephones. It's not random. You are not sampling the random way. Even within the telephone number system, you are random, but you are not random in the sample, in the whole population. So that's the bias of the sample, not the bias of the model. I mean, statistical model, numerical models, or our bio-inspired model, they are not biased. They are models. Any other question? No, I think. Okay. So ultimately, your data will look like this. So for first leaf, this one; for second leaf, this one; for third leaf; for fourth leaf, fifth leaf, first 4,000 leaves, all these leaves, and there will be a level. This is leaf A, this leaf B, leaf C, leaf D, in that way. Sometimes you need to normalize the data. We know that yes, normalization is important because some numerical values are so large and some numerical values are so small that you cannot really compare them. So for example, thickness of the leaves or thickness of the veins and the length of the leaf, they are not comparable at all. So one will dominate the other, so we generally normalize them. Okay, so now come to more detailed part of this artificial neural network. You really don't need to understand this to run because you will use a package. But what happens is that in case of a neural network, for each and every such neurons, it has an activation function. These activation functions may be very complex, may be very simple also, but what it does, it takes all of the x1 value with its as of now weight, it multiplies them, x2 value with this one, so it actually does x1 w1, x2 w2 kind of a stuff, and that entire thing it passes to this function, and it also gives certain amount of biases. That's not the bias taken from the sample, that is the neural network bias. It gives it, and then it checks whether it goes beyond certain value or not. If it goes beyond certain value, say for example it goes beyond 0.5 after computation, this fx, if it goes beyond 0.5, then we call that the neuron has fired. So I need that link, its weight to be adjusted, and subsequently this one, whenever it is adjusted, it's all of the links which are coming out, that will also be adjusted. Such type of things will happen. Such type of things will happen. So what will happen then? After this adjustment, it will say something, and your label is there. So label will indicate whether this prediction is correct or not. If it is not correct, then it will back propagate in some sense. Back propagate means it will try to readjust the values. That's a deep mathematical model or deep mathematical idea, but somehow it will try to readjust the value. So how this neural network will initially, it will work, it will take some random values for this each and every weight, each and every link, it will take some random values, and for bias it will generally take 0, and then it will try to adjust these values. From randomness it will try to adjust this value. That's why as the initially it is taking random values, your neural network every time you will run, you will get a different result, because it is taking random value. And the learning process is something like this. Learning process means you are somewhere over here. What your neural network is trying to do, it tries to find out where is the minimum. That means it takes the derivative, dy dx kind of a stuff, not exactly derivative, partial derivative, and it checks in which direction I have to move to come to this optimal, and then it slightly moves in that direction, then slightly moves in that direction, then slightly moves in that direction. In that way it goes towards the optimum position. And finding out in which direction I have to move, suppose you are sitting somewhere, in which direction I have to move, you will take the derivative or descent, you will take the gradient and you will go down to that gradient, and how long will you go will be decided by a factor which is called the learning rate. The more the learning rate is, you will be able to move faster. The less the learning rate, you will be able to move a little bit you will update, a little bit you will update. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. And finally, whenever you go to the final output part, your output part and the exact output, they have a difference. So that is called the loss. How much I have lost or how much I have gained. So that is called the loss function. In most of the cases, it is mean square error, or it may be some other error also. We will try to minimize that error. We'll try to minimize that error. Fine. Okay. Something like this. This will be more interesting. Suppose you are here, and you know that you have to move to this direction. So what you have to do, your position currently, your gradient vector, you have to subtract, and then to multiply that with the learning rate. So if you gave a large learning rate, so you may move faster. And if you give a small learning rate, your updation will be small and small and small. So you have to adjust that. What should be the ideal value? Nobody knows. It depends on your problem. It depends on your model and your instances. But we can give you an idea that what will happen if we give a small learning rate. It will take a smaller amount of updation. If we give a good learning rate, it will update correctly. If we give a very large learning rate, it will do some type of floating. So it will come here, then here, then here, then here. Or even if we give a even larger learning rate, it may not converge also, it may diverge. Something like, say for example, you have come here to our Bardhaman and you are trying to find out my home. You are in a bike, you are asking where is his home. So people will say, okay, go in this direction, and then you will get. So after how much time you will further update your knowledge. So maybe after 1 minute of driving, you will update where is the house. So if you ask too many times, you will be able to reach to my house, but you have to iterate, or you have to update your values too many times. But if you think that, okay, I will not ask too many times, I will ask once, then after 1 hour I will ask, what will happen? You will float from my house to some different places. So you will not be able to converge. So that asking the question, where is the house, is essentially you are just readjusting your directions. So in which direction I have to move, in which direction I have to move. If somebody says go to this direction, if you go too long, then you may go to some different positions also. So you should not go too far from your present position. Go to go to that direction a slight, and then again take a gradient, and then again find out which one is the right direction, and then again go to that direction a little bit. Okay, so that will decide how effectively you are going to learn. And there is a problem of overfitting also. If you try to train your model in a very efficient way, then what will happen? The actual pattern is somewhat like this. If you try to train it in this way, in a very efficient way, it's a well-trained one, so it will always try to give you mathematically accurate kind of an answer, which is essentially not required in most of the cases. I have one of my friends, he is mathematically very sound, and if you ask him a single question, he will simply puzzle you. I have asked him one question, sun rises in which direction? So the simple answer will be rises in the east, because that is the training that we have got, but he is overtrained. So what he will say, see, sun rises in the east is not the correct answer. Actually, the direction where sun rises, that is the east. So if at certain day sun rises from the north, so we will say that as east. So he will simply puzzle you, and that's the problem of overfitting. So you have to understand that how long shall I train? If I train it too less, then it will be underfitting. If we train it too much, then it will be overfitting. So those are the problems that is dependent on your problem and your data set and your learning parameters and many other factors. So you have to train it accordingly, and then your model will be ready that can predict something in future. Okay. These are certain different parameters for learning. For learning rate, we generally take 0.1 or 0.2 or 0.001, etc. Training testing ratio, we generally take 80 to 20. So 80% we use for training of the sample data, and 20% we use for testing. So if you have 1000 data you have collected, 800 data we supply generally for training purposes. Rest 20% data, that is 200 data, we supply for training purposes. And if we get a result of 80% accurate, 85% accurate, then we say that our model is a good one, can do actually the things. And number of epochs, that means number of iterations, how many times I will train. 500 is enough. 1000 is, a bit larger epoch, I believe. Okay, as of now, if you have any question, otherwise I will go to some other topic related to genetic algorithm. If you have any question.
So what is epoch?
Epoch means, suppose you have your one set of data, that is 800 data. 800 data. So your neural network has to take these 800 data one after another, and it will take its weights adjusted. So first it will take this one and it will adjust its weight. Then it will take this one and it will readjust its weight, and then it will take all these 800 data to adjust its weight. So what will happen whenever you reach to this 800 position, this one is okay, but if you see that from this one's point of view, the weights has been readjusted. It's not going to work for this one. So this one cycle of this 800 data, it's feeding to the neural network and adjusting the value, is called one epoch. So this 800 data, you will feed it to the neural network once, one epoch. Then again this 800 data on that neural network, not from the beginning, on that adjusted neural network, you feed it once again. That is another epoch. Then feed it another one. That is another epoch. So in that we have to run it 500 times, and that we do in case of our normal teaching also. For my son, I teach him A, then B, then C, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Then whenever it is 10, I used to ask him what is A. So I have completed one epoch, 1 to 0 to 9. Say for example, one epoch A, B, C, D to Z, then 0 to 9. This is my sample data. One epoch I have completed. One epoch after completion, whenever I say what is B, he says, okay, this is B. This is B. That means his weights has been readjusted. So then again I have to run. Oh no, it's not B. This is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, this is 0, this is 9. That is another epoch. So 500 times if I train him, probably then he will be able to adjust. Okay, this is A, this is B, this is C. Something like this. That's called epoch. Any other question? Any other question from anybody else? Any other question from anybody else? Otherwise, I will proceed to the next topic. I have only 2 minutes or so. Now I will, what is this? Now we'll come to another type of bio-inspired computing, that is called genetic algorithm. Those who are in favor of clustering, that means you really don't want to train your algorithm, you directly want to fit the model, you can use genetic algorithm. So neural network, you need a training, and so you have to spend your data, 80% of your data for training purposes, and then you can classify. And then in case of genetic algorithm, you really don't need to train in that sense your model. Your model can classify, or your model can cluster in that sense. So roughly speaking, it is not supervised. I mean, you can use a supervised genetic algorithm, but in general, it's not supervised. So what is genetic algorithm? We use our gene kind of a stuff to represent a solution. So what is that? This is one of the solution. So we call this one as a gene. It sounds awkward, but we call it in that way. So that is a gene. What is a gene? Gene is a collection of 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 kind of a stuff. What does it represent? It represents a solution. And there may be optimization problems. So there may be many solutions. I will take some of the solutions initially, and then I will try to do such type of things. Crossover, that we know that a parent, a father and a mother, their chromosome interchange their value, and then the offspring takes the birth, and sometimes these chromosomes mutate. Suddenly some of the values changes. We will use that, and we will select some of the chromosomes to become parent. So suppose there are 10 different solutions, so I have decided this one and this one I will let them mate, and one offspring will come. This one and this one I will let them mate, and another offspring will come. So another offspring means another chromosome, and I will simply check which chromosome has a better result, which chromosome or which solution is giving a better result in that way. So in that way, exactly how the chromosomes mutate or chromosome crosses over, it gives us a better result dramatically. If we run this one randomly in our genetic algorithm, it gives us better result always. We really do not select in a sophisticated way. We select them randomly, and we just try to simulate this crossover, simulate this mutation. Then after 500 or 10 or 1000 generations, we see that the solutions that the genes are providing are much more better than the initial solutions. God knows what happens and how this thing happens. But we believe that in case of crossover and in case of mutation, something happens in our real life that drives us to the betterment. But here the real challenge is how to represent our solution in this way. Using 0 and 1, how we can represent our solution. That is the primary challenge in case of genetic algorithm. Once you can find it out, you are done. Okay. Crossover is something like you will exchange the values of X and Y chromosome. So this is called X chromosome, this is called Y chromosome. So you will exchange the value of this one here, this one here, this one here, and that way, and then the offspring will come. Then offspring, there will be two offsprings. One is having 1110000, another is 000111. So those two offsprings, I will check their fitnesses, whether they are fit for the survival or not. That means their results are more close to the optimal result or not. If it is so, then we say that we are improving. So we will run this simulation 500 times or 1000 times, and then after 1000 times of iterations, we'll check which one is the best solution. I will pick it up. So the real problem is how to formulate your model or your problem into genetic algorithm problem. Into a genetic algorithm problem. Okay, so come down to that one first. Mutation means sometimes your value will flip. So this 1 will become 0, 0 will become 1. It happens. So whenever gene copies the information from DNA to RNA, RNA to protein, it happens. Sometimes it makes a mistake. So that's called a mutation. Mutation happens. Okay. Which one is the most challenging task? Is the design of the chromosome or design of the solution. I will discuss one problem where we can use this one. So already you have stated that this subsets some problem. Suppose we have a lift. This lift is capable of carrying 670 kg maximum. And there are a set of 100 people standing in front of the lift. They will not be served by first come first serve basis. What this operator has decided, she will take the value of each and every person and she will try to fit those people which is more close to 670. So suppose she will take this one and this one and this one and this one, and it is 655. Suppose this is the best solution she has observed. So she will allow them to go first, then the remaining, from the remaining she will try to readjust once again. Okay, but this is essentially exponentially hard. So she has to take all such possibilities. She has to take 1% at a time, then 2%. She has to try all possibilities, and all possibilities are essentially 2 to the power n. If n is the number of persons, n is the number of persons sitting or standing. So 2 to the power n means huge amount of time she needs. There is no better algorithm. So what she is trying to do, he is trying to simulate that using a genetic algorithm. Now the question is how a solution can be represented in this genetic algorithm. That is the most challenging task. Can anybody guess how the solution can be represented in this model? Using 0 and 1, how can I say that this is a solution? One of the possible solutions. Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me? Okay, let me tell you. Suppose I will take these positions. Position number 1, 2. Yes, please, please. Yes, please.
So arrangement of 0 and 1 in different way.
But how a solution will be represented? There is a solution, but solution will be represented using 0 and 1. How is that possible? Okay, let me tell you that these persons' positions, I will take their indexes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that way. Suppose there are 100 people, I will take 100 location array in that way, and I will take 1 or 0 depending upon whether I have included or excluded that position's person or not. Getting my point? So what will happen in that case? What will happen in that case? This is 1, that means I have considered this person. This is 0, that means I have not considered this person. This is 0, that means this little baby, I have not considered her also. Then this is 1, that means I have considered this one. So out of those 100%, this is one of the possible solutions. So consider first person, second, third, fourth person, fifth person, and eighth person, and so on. There may be other solutions also, some other combination. Do not consider first person, the second person, then consider the third person, the fourth person in that way. So those are the solutions. And then how to check fitness function? So as we have considered there.
In that case, only 10 boxes will be considered, where one is allocated. To get the value roughly 630 kg, which is nearly or less than 670. Is that right?
No. No. You have to take as many persons are there. Because how will you take first person and 99% and 100%? If there are 100%, your box size will be 100. This box, its size will be 100. And here it is 1 means you are considering the first person. Here it is 1 means you are considering the 98%. It may so happen that the first person, 70th person, 80th person, and 90th person, they are forming the best combination. It may so happen. It may so happen. So how will you represent a solution? A solution means suppose there are 100 persons. So your array size will be 100, and the solution for a particular solution, if you are considering first person, 70th person, 80th person, then put 1 at the very first position, 70th position, 80th position, and all other positions are 0. That means you are not considering any other persons for that particular solution. So I will take the first person, 70th person, and 80th person. Let us check whether that is the best solution or not. So that is one. Or alternatively, you may think that I will take the second person, third person, and 90th person. That may be one solution. Or you may think all of the persons, all of the 100 positions will be allocated with 1. So that is one solution. I will include all of them. If everybody fits in a single run, why shall I not fit them? Yeah. So if I have 100 persons, I need
Total carrying capacity of this leaf is 670 kg per ride.
Okay, so in each and every position there will be so that's the idea. Are you getting it, or I need certain more discussions on this? Think this is the way we can represent a solution. How will you say that's a solution? You will say, okay, I have taken the very first person and the 10% and the 15%. So that's a solution. That is the best combination. So this is how we can write it down. This is how we can write it down. So I have taken the first person, third person, fourth person in that. Any questions up to this? Am I audible? My connection was lost.
So, but
Am I
you
audible?
are assigning this 0 and 1. So, based on your decision, whom
Yeah.
you are letting in and whom you are not letting in, right?
Yeah. Whom I am considering or I am not considering. I am not letting them in. I will check them whether they are suitable. This combination is suitable for this operations or not. I will take the best one.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if this
For the,
combination is
okay.
the please.
And if just for you, like you are arranging it in an array form, like 1 0. I'm considering the first person, and then I'm not considering the second, third. I'm considering the fourth person. I'm considering the fifth, seventh. I'm not considering the eighth person. So this way, you are
Okay.
actually working it out whether if I take this combination, whether it will
Yeah.
satisfy
Then
that
then what?
criteria of 670 kg is allowed or not, less than
Yeah.
670.
So that combination may give you 640. Another
Okay.
combination may give you 530.
Okay.
530. Another combination may give you 780. So that I will reject because that is not feasible. So in that way, I will get 10 or 20 such type of solutions which are feasible.
Mm-hmm.
But is that the best combination? Then I will say no, it's not the best. This is my initial solutions. Then
Yeah.
I will change their values. So I will take such type of one such value, another such value. Then I will cross over. So I will take this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here, and then I will
Time and again
generate.
you are iterating the figures, like you are again making an array, right? The
Yeah,
first
I am
array, and then
making
again you are
from
adjusting the array
from
again and again until unless you get
exactly.
the optimum answer.
I really do not know whether I will get the optimum or not, but I will get after 500 iterations, whichever is the best, I will take that. That much I can do because it is not actually possible for us to find out the exact optimum, which one is the best combination. It will take exponential amount of time, millions of trillions of years using a computer. So after 500 iterations, whatever is the best combination, that I will take.
So how long time does it take for 500 iterations to take place in a computing thing?
No. It's not that. You can take 5,000 also. But what happens after certain amount of time, it gets stuck to certain kind of local optima. Whatever it local or global. If you get the global, then it goes to global. But after 500, 600, or 1,000 iterations, you will not get enough improvement. So you will run it for 5 minutes, you will get 95% accuracy. If you run it for 370 days, you will get 98% accuracy. It's kind of this. So that's why we.
And then how do you make the judgment call then?
That's important. You cannot really make a judgment. In case of your real life, how will you judge that this is the thing I should not go further? We really do not know. We have to judge it from our previous experiences.
Okay.
We have to do these things. Say, for example, I would like to buy a car. And the problem is the car that I can afford, it's not luxurious. And the car that is luxurious, I cannot afford. So I can give some extra rupees for AC, some extra rupees for power window. But how much can I go? I have to take a decision. Which one is the optimum? And can you claim that the decision that you have taken is the best decision for you? No, it's not. Maybe after buying or after purchasing the car, you are regretting, okay, why I have purchased this car? I could have purchased that car also. Maybe 10,000 rupees extra I could have, if I could have afforded, I could have had that car also. So we really do not know what is the optimization, where to stop and where not to stop. If
So then
we do not,
so how do we do that in this case, sir? Like
if you do not know, how your model will know? That will not know. From your experiences, you have to see that, okay, whatever I am getting, it looks acceptable. It looks pretty good. then I'm accepting it. Suppose you have certain lift where 670 kg is there. So after 1 hour of computing, you have got a result which is 650 kg. So you will say, okay, leave them, let them go because they are creating noise. Okay, 20 kg I will manage. Maybe I have to run this lift twice extra, but there is a trade-off between how much computational effort you will give and how much result you are expecting. That's why in case of gold mining, people used to go to some jungles and they try to find out gold. So there is a trade-off. How much machineries you will provide, you have to provide a cost, and how much you are going to earn. So if there is a trade-off and your earning wins, then you go for mining, and if it is not, then you will not. So there is a trade-off. I mean, in our real life also there is a trade-off in each and every cases, whether to buy this one or to that one.
So
In case of mobile,
the person concerned in that case have to make that trade-off, right, sir?
yeah,
Based on
the system for which you are providing this model, the user of the system, if they are satisfied, then that is the thing that then you can do. I have purchased a mobile. Now there are mobiles which are 1 lakh rupees of cost. Their cost is 1 lakh rupees, and my mobile is hardly 5,000 rupees. Now there is a trade-off. What I should do? My previous mobile was around 10 or 12,000 rupees, but now every time I go outside, I have to spray sanitizer to my mobile. So I have somehow decided not to go for a valuable mobile. So that's a trade-off. And that I have automatically, I'm adjusting my parameters. Oh, I have to, every time I have to spray sanitizers. Don't take a precious mobile. Take it, settle with it. Yeah. I really don't know whether this is correct or not. Maybe I have settled with a 5,000 rupees mobile. Maybe after 10 days it will start creating problem. I really do not know. We in our real life, we really do not know our decisions are correct or not. We take it with our best knowledge and best logic. That much we can do. In our models also, we do the same thing. In our models also.
And
If you have
this kind of bio-inspired computing, be it ANN, artificial neural network, or genetic algorithm, is this kind of computing done in those or practiced by those geoscientists who are working in oil fields like ONGC
in
or
each
offshore drilling?
and every field they are doing this thing. NASA has designed one antenna which is bio-inspired. You can go to wiki, you can check it out. Recently, I used to work in molecular biology. Recently, my collaborator sent me a paper. They have designed a drug that is based on neural network. That is not neural network. Somebody has mentioned deep learning. So they have designed the drug using deep neural network. And that paper has been published in Nature, and people are believing that that is the correct direction that they have to move. Such type of rumors, maybe rumors or maybe may not be rumors. Maybe in future, bio-inspired computing may take place. The traditional computing may not take place also, but it works. And the thing is, whenever there is no other alternative other than the random one, what you can do? You have to find out a wester in which there is a pearl. So in your ocean, where will you dive? Randomly at any particular position, but it is better to dive in those positions where frequently you get pearl. Maybe there is something in that water or in the soil that creates that pearl, or maybe the oyster are more prone to create pearl, something like that. So that is better than random. How will you proceed? You have to proceed somehow. So that is the key inception of bio-inspired computing. When there is no other way to solve the problem, just you have to blindly pick up a random solution. Do something better than random. And it works. In most of the cases, it gives you 85%, 90% kind of accuracy. Do you have any other questions?
So that means, like, I know the solution lies somewhere in the ocean, and I know there are certain points where the where the solution lies, and it's bio-inspired computing is more like diving in those points, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Rather
So
than
you know,
randomly driving in any part of the ocean, rather you are just going in those portions where the probability of getting that answer. And there has been a trend of previous experiences like the
yeah,
solutions lie somewhere.
yeah,
So in a way,
exactly.
you are saying that this is better than any random solution that you come up with, of
Yeah.
which you are not 100% sure whether it's
No, it's not 100% sure. Sometimes its performance is even worse than random numbers, but in 90% cases, its result is, I mean, very close to 90% or 80% or 85%. We frequently get 85%, 85% accuracy. Our models, that leaf recognition, the leaves that I have shown, we have recently published a paper on that. It is continuously giving us 85%, 90, 85%, 90% accuracy.
And sir,
Mm,
this all this like I'm doing this entire 2.5 hour session. I've been hearing a lot of genes, chromosomes, population, and neural network. It's somehow like we need to be what I say have some domain knowledge of bioscience or
not
computer science
exactly.
also like
No, not exactly.
so
You really don't need anything related to bio related thing. Only you have to know how to formulate that using this. That's it. Forget about all those bio related terms. They are inspired by bio, but they are not bio. You really don't need to
okay.
know that this is the chemical, these are the compounds, this is RNA, this is DNA, adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine. No, nothing.
Sir, just sharing one example. Actually, I'm investigation in using the deep learning or AI process to
Mhm.
for that early detection of DR, diabetic
DR
retinopathy.
means
That is the one of the
okay, okay.
example. So it's
Mm.
not related only bio or
No, I'm not getting. You are in a position to detect some early diabetes related things.
yeah. So just we are developing algorithm the how we can detect that early DR diabetic retinopathy because this is a community research study. So we are developing
Okay,
such kind of algorithms
fine,
that
fine,
to easily.
fine. And my suggestions is in your medical science probably you will not get too many instances. I mean, how many samples do you have?
It's I think because it's a community in investigation.
Mhm.
So probably I think we are targeting to get more than 3,000.
Okay, in that case, if you have those parameters in a numeric value, that
Because
these
we
are
are
the
considering that images, then we have
okay,
to
fine,
actually.
fine. If it is image, then somebody has already mentioned that it is convolutional neural network. Just write it down. Convolutional neural network.
Yes.
Feed those images to convolutional neural network and train them. It will work automatically. You really don't need to do anything. All those mathematical equations and there's gradient descent and formulas are incorporated into that. Feature extraction you really don't need to do. Convolutional neural network in Python we have already used that. In R I didn't use, but I know that convolutional neural network will be there in R also. If you do not find it in R, you can figure it out in Python language. It is there. I have already used. One of
Yeah.
my
Yes, sir.
scholars.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm using that only.
Yeah. So in convolutional neural network it is there. So feed those images with the label. So these are the images of certain organ, and this patient is diabetic. This is the image, and the patient is diabetic. This is the image, the patient is diabetic. This is the image, patient is not diabetic. So in that way, 3,000 out of 3,000, train the system with 2,500, and remaining 500 you don't supply the label, supply the images and ask whether it can predict. So it will tell you automatically whether, and you will get the result. You'll get the result, and that is the perfect one for neural network, at least for convolutional deep learning network. It's perfect one. We are also doing this thing, that image related things. We are doing this thing. We
Right,
have
sir.
done this already. And in fact in our research work we are slightly moving towards planned diseases. In case of potato, those agriculture persons know there are diseases called early blight, late blight. We are trying to generate or develop a system that will automatically detect the early blight or late blight kind of stuff. So we are trying to generate one Android app. So if you press your Android mobile system onto the leaf of a potato, it will detect whether it is early blight or not, or late blight. That is the proposition. I really do not know how much it is possible actually in a PhD thesis or a PhD dissertation, but we are also trying to do the same thing. We are doing this thing essentially. Any other question? Any other question? Otherwise, I will quickly.
Sir, in case of any process, sir, in case of any process, if we know any process, if we know the input, output, and the process, whatever the system is, sir, whatever the system is, it may be complex machinery or robotics or whatever it is, we can apply the same thing.
Yeah. If
It
I
is
have
possible.
input and out, yeah, it is possible.
If you input, output, and process, we know the system completely. We can apply the bio system.
We can
This
apply.
kind of.
Okay.
We can apply. Right.
We can apply
Okay,
the
sir,
bioinformatics system, but before using that, only thing you have to know whether there is any straightforward algorithm available for that or not. If an efficient algorithm works,
one thing,
then that
there should be a link with the neuron system for the operating. No, it is not
no,
not necessary.
no. You really don't need to know anything about neuron system. Those are to mute your sound.
Okay, sir.
These are not at all necessary. See, these terms they use to make this system glamorous. I mean, some sort of marketing is there also. I mean, you should not forget that. Those terms, bio-inspired computing, artificial intelligence, neural network. Can a computer be artificially intelligent? The answer to this question is no. Capital N-O. No. Your computer system cannot be intelligent. Cannot be intelligent. And in 1973, before the invention of the first operating system, it was proved by a Japanese mathematician that your system cannot be intelligent. Something like, let me give you one example quickly. I will go if I give a stress to each and every word, it will give you a different meaning, semantic. I will go to Calcutta tomorrow. 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 So a single word with our different, I mean, way of speaking, it generates different type of semantics. That really is not possible for a computer to understand. And computers are not intelligent. It looks like an intelligent system. It becomes so complicated and the programs are so complicated that it looks like an intelligent system. It is not intelligent. We can, being human being, we can break the rule. If I know that if there is a cloud, I have to take my umbrella, I can break the rule. Okay, I will not take the umbrella. Computer will every time take the umbrella. So whenever it will not take, you will see that there are certain random values. If it is more than 0.5, it will take umbrella. If it is less than 0.5, then it will not take umbrella. So it will look like an intelligent system. So its behavior is looking like an intelligent system. But that's a eyewash. That it looks. Anything else? Any question? If you have any questions, I will I can address. Otherwise, I have to stop because I am already in your time. Help you. Try to formulate your problem and try to learn at least one tool from R or Python or Java or whatever language you are using or your collaborators are using. Try to map it. These tools and it's detailing, it needs some certain time to learn. So just try to learn them and then use them. You are going to get a better type of, or you are going to get another type of dimensions in your result. You will definitely get another types of dimensions in your result. That much I can say. These theories are just for your inspirations. These are not actually helpful for your research. These will motivate you to go to the right direction where you will get the actual help. So that much I can say. Okay, if you do not have any questions, then I have to conclude. Once again, I'm asking you if you have any question. If no, then thank you for your patience. Yes, please. Yes, please, Devaruti shortcut, please. Please.
Yeah,
Ask me.
no, sir, nothing. I just want to thank you because you in a simple way you just taught us. Because I did a course because I am a graduate student, so in the my first semester I did the course on data science and computational technique. So this is a really good to revive all the things. It's a good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then I will conclude. Stay safe. Thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Though
Thank you
I
very
don't know
much.
how much I grasped the entire session, I try to understand as much as I could.
Okay.
And hopefully I could use your lectures in my own PhD thesis.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So it will be great if you kindly share your email ID with us anyway, if it is possible. Thank you, sir.
Okay, it is very much possible. My ID is there in my website. Your course coordinator, Dayanandji, he is communicating with me every time, so he knows my mail ID. You can take it from him also, no problem. Because in academic community, we can easily exchange our views and queries. If you have any other queries related to computer and related to some other things, I will try to address. No problem.
Sir,
Thank
I
you, sir.
can
Thank you.
in future I will contact you with you. Actually, I need your feedback and suggestion during my research.
Okay, no problem. Probably you are doing
Yeah.
your research work on diabetic images, no?
No, it's one of the project,
Okay.
but currently because now I am in actually in the fourth semester, I just formulating my research problem because my guide is also from computer science and one of another other guide is from social science background. So I am just collaborating. So in future I will contact you with you.
Okay.
So does your research fall in public health or only you are focusing on that bio computational science and biophysics?
No, not
That
biophysics, not
computational.
biocomputer science. You are from which subject? May I ask you?
Actually, because I did my master in demography, and actually I have prior graduate in BTech. So this is a
BTech in,
combination. Actually, I am
okay.
interdisciplinary student.
BTech in which subject? Computer science?
Yes.
Yes. No, my present research work is on molecular biology. Molecular biology
Yeah,
means
molecular biology is referred.
they used to take crystallographic image of molecules, DNAs and RNAs, and we get the three-dimensional coordinate of each and every atom. So atomic level pictures we get, and we get the coordinate values of that. And then we try to figure out their three-dimensional structures based on that coordinate values and their bindings. Each and every molecule, they generate certain forces. So how they do they bind, whether there is any drug which can bind is possible or not, such type of things. It's not
Okay,
related
but
to
yeah, it's far away.
it's not image processing. It's
It's not
actually
image processing. Okay.
geometrical computations kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can communicate with me, no problem. You can take my
Okay.
mail
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
from Dayanand Shankarji. So No problem. If you have any other question, then I can ask me. Otherwise, I'll conclude. I think no. Okay. Thank you, all of you. Thanks. I'm concluding. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Shankarji, can I leave my meeting? I think. But I think.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your nice presentation. Thank you. Again, we will meet at 4 p.m., not 3, 4 p.m. Okay?
4 o'clock
4 बजे.
4 बजे.
हाँ 4 बजे.
आज भी क्या कुछ लेक्चर है क्या दया जी, या फिर ऐसे वो है कंक्लूडिंग?
I am then leaving.
ओके, बाय सर.
हाँ जी.
हेलो. हाँ दया जी, आज वो लेक्चर सेशन ही है या फिर वैलिडिटी सेशन कुछ ऐसा है?
नहीं, बस लेक्चर है. थोड़ा कुछ चीजों को शेयर करना है, बस, और कुछ नहीं है. लेक्चर नहीं है.
तो बने घंटे भर में खत्म हो जाएगा ना आज 5 बजे तक?
5 बजे तक फिनिश कर देंगे.